Good morning, ladies and gents, and welcome to LAT Mentor Trade Review. And I just want to bring oil into focus over the last couple of days, in particular looking at opportunities that came about yesterday and then potential opportunity in here today. And I just want to focus predominantly on volume and market profiles for this setup, one of the technical tools that we utilize here a lot, the London Academy of Trading. So let's just start here. Blue profiles here in the middle of the weekly profiles. I just want to look at last week's close on this profile. But first and foremost, let's start with the candlesticks. On Thursday, we saw a very aggressive move lower. You can see that sell off here on the hourly chart, aggressively moving lower down towards that 72.50 handle. Now on Friday, we saw a pretty flat overnight session for the Asian session, pretty quiet, oil not moving. Then it really accelerated through the European session, and we retraced and we recovered all of those losses that we had from Thursday, closing at the end of the week, really back where we'd started that capitulation on Thursday. So a big aggressive reversal, a big move back to the top side. So clear aggressive buying coming in, leaving this V-shaped recovery. Now, what did that do for the weekly profile? Ultimately, on that weekly profile, we were then left with a strong excess down at the lows. Okay, single prints running into doubles, into triples, a failure to accept lower prices, and those prices failed to move lower than the previous week. Lows, we dipped lower and aggressively then traded back above those lows. At the top of that, we then had a raft of single prints at the highs, but those single prints went from singles straight into this ledge here at the top. So that's suggesting, in essence, almost like a poor high here. What we'd like to see for clear excess is a nice smooth curve going from singles into doubles into triples and so on and so forth. In this scenario here, we've gone singles effectively straight into a row of 5 or 6 TPOs in here, and that just suggesting there's a lack of aggressive selling up here at the high. So we've got strong buyers, weak selling, that value area failing to move lower. See a big overlap here, that value area trade anywhere from around the $75 to $79.50 handles. So relatively wide range on that value area, but importantly, that value not shifting any lower than the previous. So we tested lower prices, moved back in above the previous week's low, and we're then quite happy building some volume and spending some time up above that low. The point of control also here last week closing up towards the highs and importantly closing right up above the value area from that previous week. So suggesting market relatively happy trading up here at some higher prices. Now from a daily profile perspective, that big sell-off on the Thursday, a considerable chunk of time, of course, spent at the highs and then that excess coming in here at the bottom. On Friday, we then created an inside day with the full trading day being with inside the high and the low of Thursday. For me personally, as an indication, as you get to the bottom of what's been a relatively sustained downtrend in oil, that inside day, along with the excess and the poor highs and so on and so forth, a really good indication for reversal. Now, as we came into yesterday, the market just took off straight away, opening up near the highs of the previous day, and then aggressively leaving excess down at the lows, with again singles into doubles into triples, and then trading up near the highs. So that run yesterday, you can just see on the candlestick chart, was very aggressive. From around 10 a.m. this market moved higher, and it ran all the way through really till well into the US session. At around 8 p.m. we started to see a bit of a correction and a bit of a tail off, but it was a big substantial move back up to the top side. Now yesterday's profile then left with a P shape, okay, so suggesting acceptance of higher prices and rejection of lower prices, so strong buying pressure coming in here. That also supported by the excess left at the bottom of the market profile. Value area also shifting higher here, point of control also shifting higher, suggesting again acceptance of higher prices. It does leave a relatively low volume area down beneath us, which could potentially be filled today, but initially what we've seen at least is a clear rejection off of the single print support. You can just see that level on the candlestick chart here acting as very, very clean support, and we're just seeing a little bit of upside in here at the moment. So opportunity for us to run away from this 77 14, 15 handle if we can remain sort of bullish away from this level. I do think there's also the possibility for us to move slightly lower. If we could get a drop down here into this 76.80 handle, that would come back to the top of Thursday's sell-off day, that session where we can see these highs. And just looking at that on a weekly basis, that also pulls into a little ledge that we can see from last week. We can see that ledge sat in there, and also this low volume node from the volume profile on that week. So I think opportunities in here today to be looking to buy dips in oil. Two potential levels I've got eyes on, one being that 77.15 and the other being 76.78. I wouldn't expect, given the indications got here, wouldn't expect to see this market dip too much lower than that, but of course we've got to be patient. We've got to wait for clear indications that we are seeing positivity at those levels. Don't just go jumping in at these levels, wait for clear indications that yes, we've hit the levels and now we are seeing that positivity and we're seeing that buying pressure start to come in. From a more fundamental outlook here, stances and reasonings for wanting to be long oil. We've got an OPEC meeting coming out on Sunday. With the capitulation in oil prices, will we see OPEC step in? And a couple of the cartel members suggesting perhaps there's the opportunity for further production cuts, which would of course put some scope for further upside in oil. They've already, of course, promised 1 million barrel per day cuts into year end, but will we see further cuts as oil continued to slide over the past couple of weeks? Time will tell. That will come on Sunday, and of course, the ongoing tensions and war going on at the moment between Israel and Hamas. Of course, at the forefront of everybody's minds, and also still sits there and poses potential supply chain issues should other nations start to be drawn into that conflict. So I think certainly from a geopolitical standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, there is scope for some upside here in oil, and technically, at least from a profile perspective, also supporting that upside. So let's be patient. We'll see if we can come to get a dip down into some of these levels. Just see a little bit of a sell-off here as I'm speaking in oil, just moving back down towards that first level. But either way for me in here, I'm looking for opportunities to try and buy dips, and we'll see which levels come into play throughout the course of the day. Okay, so that's the outlook there for oil. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you again soon for another mentor trade review. Bye for now.